after the sport. So this week we're going to take a little bit of a change in focus. We're going to focus a lot more on the glutes and the lower back. So with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 exercises that will incorporate your abs and your hips a little bit, most of this focus will be on your posterior chain, so the muscles down the back of the body, which are just as equally as important to core strength. Okay, so that full 360 degrees of strength, a lot of it comes from those huge muscles on the back of your body. So it's important not to neglect them. So we're going to get straight into it. Some of the earlier exercises in the workout are quite easy to do, and they'll almost serve as the warm-up. So to begin with, we're just going to do 2 stretches. First things first, I want you to kneel like so, but put a little bit of a gap between your knees so that you're just more sturdy. And all I want you to do is take the right hand, reach it over top towards out to your left side. Okay, so if you've something to aim for, just reach over in that direction, but it's not up to the ceiling, it's over to the side. Obviously you're going to feel this nice big stretch from the armpit, the right armpit, all the way down into the right hip. Don't hold it for too long, and then swap sides. Get the left arm over to the right wall or out to your right side. Now we're going to do another one on each side. So if you want, as you loosen up, you can try and get it a bit further, but just be really conscious that if this is the first thing you're doing today, or the first thing you're doing for a few hours, don't overstretch. Last side, once more. And bring it back to the center. From here, keep your kind of wide gap between your knees. Just throwing a couple of twists just to loosen up. If you've been sitting all morning or at the computer, you're definitely going to be a bit stiff in that midsection. Okay, and then the last stretch I want you to do is just an up dog. So basically I want you to lie flat, pull the hands in as if you're about to start doing press ups. Try to keep your thighs and most of your hip down on the floor. And we're going to extend those arms, push up, and get this nice stretch into the abs and the hips. Great for some spine mobility as well. From there, shift back, make the body nice and long into child's pose. So you're almost sitting on your calf muscles, sitting on your heels. Head goes down, hands go out in front. Get this nice stretch into the back, into the armpits again. Okay. And we'll get going from there. Like I said, first few exercises are quite low intensity, so they will serve as a warm-up. So come into this position here. So your knees are underneath your hips and your hands are underneath your shoulders. You're in this nice tabletop or 4-point position. We're going to do what's called a Superman pose. We've definitely done it in previous weeks. Really good exercise for stability and for lower back strength and kind of switching on the glutes. It won't really challenge them too much. So what I want you to do is take your right arm and your left leg up, like so. Hold for half a second, back down, and then swap. Okay, so we're going to start 30 seconds now. Not too much explanation required. Alright, but as we're working our way through it, I'll tell you a few things to watch out for. So you really want to be extending your arm completely out in front and your leg completely out behind. So the leg isn't going up towards the ceiling, it's going out behind you. And you're always working off opposites. Right arm, left leg, left arm. Now one other thing to be conscious of is what the rest of the body is doing. So try not to let loads of wiggling or wobbling take place in the spine, the neck and the shoulders. Keep everything really still. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Return to your starting position. If you need more room, you can kind of come up towards the top of your mat because this next exercise is just for the legs. So you can leave your hands where they are, directly under the shoulders. If you've got pains in your wrists, walk them forward a little bit and make that angle a bit friendlier. What we're now going to do is take one leg out behind, nice and straight, like the top of your last movement. And all we're going to do is curl that leg back and out. So it's only from the knee down that's moving. Okay, so I want you to start that now. We're going to go for 20 seconds on one leg. Off you go. So it can be hard if you've got a bit of an issue with coordination. It can be hard to keep your knees stable, but that should be the goal. That the only thing moving in your entire body right now is from your knee down towards your foot. Now that's movement wise. Everything, there's a lot of other things switched on and working. You'll definitely feel some of your chest and shoulder. You'll 100% feel your hamstring working in that right leg or whatever leg you have up. Okay, bring that leg back down and swap sides. So the opposite leg straight out and start curling. So the goal here, you probably won't get the whole way, but the goal here is to get your heel to your bum. Okay, now realistically your hamstring's probably going to get in the way of that, but that should be your goal. Okay, all the way from a straight leg to as much of a curled up or bent leg as possible. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Return that knee down, hinge back, stretch out that back, give the hamstrings a bit of a break. We're going to do one more exercise and it's going to stem from that same position, okay? So give the hands a bit of a shake if your wrists are getting sore, but it's not too much pressure because your knees are down for a lot of these. So, back to your first leg, we'll say it's your right leg. I I want you to curl the foot up as if the bottom of your shoe or your foot is facing towards the ceiling. From here, you're going to kick back all the way down as if you're about to put the knee on the floor, and then kick back again. Now this time you are going for the ceiling. All right, 20 seconds. Ready? Off you go. So the goal here is not to straighten out the leg. The goal here is to kick back from the bum. But I want you to keep a slight bit of tension on your abs so that you don't start curving the back to try to get the leg higher and higher, okay? Keep going, folks. You should obviously feel, whatever leg is doing the movement, you should feel that glute really switching on. 3, 2, 1. Swap sides. Let's go. Kick back towards the ceiling. And then bring that knee down as if you're about to put it back on the mat, but don't let it touch. Okay, so you're just trying to get a bit of an accumulative tension on that same glute. All the while, the rest of that body is working hard to keep everything really stable, folks. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Kneel back. Maybe take your hands up off the mat if you haven't already. Even if you've got good, strong wrists, take this opportunity to just give them a little shake. I've said it in previous weeks before as well. If you spend a lot of time on your wrists or a few exercises in a row, it can get quite tough. So you have options there. A lot of people find pointing the fingers out to the sides is easier on the wrists, or you'll often see me just come up onto my knuckles, okay? So that actually works the forearm muscles a little bit more, but it's also friendlier on the wrist joint, okay? It's not as tough. So I'm going to do that for this next round. But we're coming up to our Superman poses again. Everything once more, folks. So hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips, and you're doing this one here. Opposite arm, opposite leg. Ready? Off we go. We're doing this for 30 seconds. If you want to make it a little bit more challenging, just throw in a slight pause at the top. So get the leg and the arm up, hold that position, then bring it down. Okay, 1 or 2 seconds is loads. Ask yourself, if I had a tennis ball on my shoulders or a bottle of water balancing on my shoulders, could I keep it there? Okay, so that should be the goal. Can you perform this movement without the rest of your body shaking and twisting? 5 seconds to go. Get a few more in there if possible. 3, 2, 1. Lean back, switch off into child's pose just for a few seconds. Give yourself that little refresher. Take some of the tension off those same muscles. Shoulders are going to be working hard. If you do these 3 back to back, shoulders will be definitely under a lot of stress. Next we had our curls. So we went from a straight leg, curling back. Remember, heel to bum, that's the goal. 20 seconds, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. So try your best. You can even kind of glance down every now and then and have a look to see what your knee is doing. But I want smooth movement with that knee nice and stable so that you're just switching on that hamstring. Whatever leg is up off the floor, it's that hamstring, so the back of the thigh that we're working. 3, 2, 1. Take a second, readjust and swap over. Off we go. Now keep this smooth. If you do this fast, chances are you're going to bounce. Okay, you'll get a bounce at the top of the movement and the leg will just fling back out. You're trying to fight that. You're trying to resist that. So take 1, maybe 1.5 seconds to get the leg in, and then the same tempo back out. Smooth and using as much of that muscle as possible. 3, 2, and 1. Quick break, kneel back, shake the hands out if you need the wrists to recover a little bit. Then our last one is our donkey kick or our glute kickback, where we had a bent knee hovering off the mat. It went from this position all the way up and kicked up towards the ceiling. Ready? Off we go. 20 seconds each leg. And the number one thing I want you to focus on here is to kick back until you feel that glute really max out its range. Going past that, all you're going to do is be curving your lower back. It's very obvious to look at. It's kind of hard to notice when you're doing it. So that's why I say best way to counteract that is to tighten up your abs, okay? It's not an ab exercise, but tightening up your abs will help you perform it better. 3, 2, 1. Swap. Let's go. Last time doing it. Then we'll give the wrists a break, don't worry. Kicking that leg up towards the ceiling. Again, try to keep it smooth. At no point is there a bounce or a jerky movement. Really working that glute. 3, 2, and 1. I want you to lie on your back. Give those wrists and shoulders a bit of a break. We have 2 exercises to do in this position, so you won't be on your wrists for a little bit. Now, let me talk you through this. You're going to get your feet nice and flat on the floor. When we start the exercise, we will be taking our toes off the floor, okay? We're doing what's called a glute bridge. You've probably done it plenty of times before. Some people actually just call it a bridge. You're gonna have your hands on your chest, or if you like, you can have them down, but there's no pressure going through them, so the hands are not helping. You're gonna push down through the heels. You're gonna maintain this nice straight line all the way from your knees, down the thigh, through the hip, all the way to the shoulders, okay? After a while, that'll be harder and harder to hold. Your body will start to dip down. You have to constantly push down through the floor to fight. Alrighty? So meet me there for 30 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. So you need constant pressure. It's not quite like a front plank, okay? When you're on your front and trying to challenge the abs, because you can just maintain the position and you can hold it a little bit. This one, you almost need to be constantly, actively pushing down through the floor. You won't even realize, it can be hard to check your own technique. You won't even realize you've probably lost a few centimeters in height. Okay, so every now and then just ask yourself, can I push my hips higher? Chances are, if you've been in this position for a while, you've definitely lost some, so you will be able to push higher. Keep holding, folks. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Return those hips down to the floor. You should feel tension whoosh out of your glutes, okay, if you were doing it right. Okay, and we're going to do our only ab exercise for today. Okay, so ab exercise, where all of this focuses on the core, but then this one thing we're going to do is going to focus on those lower abs. So go up into your V position, which is sitting right up on the top of your tailbone, slightly hinged back, abs engaged. Okay, you're going to have your 2 hands out, or if that's too hard, you can place the fingertips on the floor, and you're going to be in this V position with the heels off the ground. From there, I want you to lean back, open up the legs, and then crunch up. Okay, 30 seconds of this. Slow and controlled. Ready? Off we go, folks. So we're breathing out. We've done this countless times. Sync up that breathing with the knees coming in. So I would exhale as the knees come in, inhale as those legs go back out. Now range is up to you, okay? Usually on squats, shoulder presses, all those other exercises, we do want full range. On exercises like this, it can be quite tough. So find a range where you have control, and then you can progress as time goes on. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Brilliant. Return your spine to the mat. Pull the heels in. We're going to get our glute bridge again. Okay, so I want to visibly have my toes off the floor. The only 2 contact points in the mat when we start will be your heels and your upper back. Ready, 30 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Big push to get you up into that position. Push so far through the heels and so far with the glute that you almost feel a stretch in the chest. Or not the chest, sorry, the hip. If you're feeling a stretch in your hip, you're at your max range, and that's where you want to be. Okay, after 10, 15 seconds, if that stretch goes away, chances are you're losing height, okay? So the glutes and the hips, well, specifically the hip flexor, they work as a partnership. Keep going, keep going. 5 seconds left. Keep those glutes working 100%, and you'll feel that stretch. 3, 2, 1. Return those hips down to the mat. Feel that tension whoosh out of your glutes again. Okay, and we'll do our V crunch one last time. Flying through it, folks. We're doing great. Okay, up into your seated position, nice and tall, strong spine. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. So you figure out that range. Lean back and open up the legs. But you don't have to be going all the way to a position like this. Okay, it could be quite short. You could be doing something like this. Short range. If that's all you're able for and you're feeling a good connection when you do it, then stick with it, okay? But if you want to challenge yourself and every now and then just test that range, lean back a centimeter or 2 further and see if you can tolerate it. It's all about testing, and then you'll build up that strength. But you need to create the demand and the stimulus there as well. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax. Now that last exercise is tough on the hips, so let's shorten the hips. Back into child's pose, knees down, hands out in front. Switch those abs off and let the hips fully flex and take a break. Alrighty, last 2 exercises. Now they both require a left and a right side, so we're just doing one round, okay? We're going to do a side plank on our right hand side. Straight away we're going to rotate and do a leg abduction. Then we're going to do the left side, straight away rotate and do the opposite leg. Okay, so you've only got 4 sets left to do. Alright, so side plank, for those of you who haven't seen it, your feet will be stacked. Maybe match yourself to me. So I'm going to go right elbow down, okay? We're going to be up like so. That means my left arm is the top arm. We're going to hold this position. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. We're going to go for 40 seconds, folks. Just one time on each side. So this is the one and only set you're going to do on the right elbow. 40 seconds. Now we've done variations in the past. I'm not going to give them to you here, but if you want, throw in those twists or throw in some reps. If you're not able for that, stick with this, or even drop back to the easier version which you've seen before if you've done any of my classes, which is knees and elbow. Good job, everyone. You have 15 seconds to go. Work hard. Try keep as much of your time in that position, fighting gravity. This bottom hip, your right hip should be really switched on. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax down to the ground. Now you can roll over. I'm going to stay facing the camera, so I'm actually going to full pivot. We're doing a right leg abduction. So your right leg should now be up closer to the ceiling. This is the movement, okay? Leg goes all the way up to the ceiling, comes down, doesn't touch the other leg or foot, and then goes back up. Ready? Let's go. Now you might ask why we didn't just go straight into the left leg or go straight onto the other side plank. It's because we're trying to bombard the same side. So you just had a right elbow side plank, which meant your right side was working. We rolled over and now we're still hitting that right side. You'll feel the focus swap to the glute a little bit, but you're still sticking with that right side. So we're kind of bombarding the same side of our bodies to try and build up some strength. Keep going, folks, keep going. Not the most challenging exercise in the world, but really good for switching on that outside glute, the glute medius. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Fantastic. You can stay exactly where you are because what we're going to do from here, left elbow side plank. Ready. Last 2 sets, folks. 3, 2, 1. Pop up. Hold your side plank. Now, if you did do some sort of variation on the other side, by all means, bring it in now. It's good to keep both sides even. You have 40 seconds of a side plank and you're 15 seconds into it already. So just keep holding. Always asking yourself, have I lost a few centimeters? Have I started to drop? Can I correct it? You should feel tension in your left hip, big time. Left glute a little bit. And I would imagine your left shoulder is working pretty hard as well. 10 seconds to go. Keep holding. It's just the one time. Go, go, go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fantastic. Pivot around so that you're now lying on your right hand side. Very last exercise. Left leg abductions up towards the ceiling. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Now remember to leave a gap. When the leg comes back down, it doesn't touch the other foot. If you do that, you're going to be giving the muscle the briefest break from tension each and every rep. We want to keep that tension there. Now, one thing I didn't say it on the first set, probably should have, I want your toes pointing forward. In my case, pointing towards the camera. Okay, if you open up those toes so that they point up to the ceiling, you're taking that focus somewhere else that we don't really want it right now. So keep the toes pointing forward and stay within that range. Last 4, everybody. 3, 2, 1. Brilliant. Well done. I want you to lie on your back. We'll just work into the quickest stretch. Okay. So maybe grab the 2 knees. Stay flat on your back. Pull the 2 knees up. You'll get a bit of a stretch into the glutes, but also the lower back. You can rock left and right. Sometimes that feels nice. And just put some movement and kind of a light massage even on the spine. Okay, now we're going to get a quick and probably the easiest way to stretch your glutes. Return your feet to the ground as if you're about to do sit-ups or something. Take your right leg and pop your right foot on top of your left knee. Okay, so my right foot is now on my left knee. I'm going to reach through that little gap that's just been created and grab my left leg. I'm going to pull my left leg towards me and use that as the lever basically. So by pulling my left leg closer, it increases this stretch out here on the right hand side of my hip. Just hold that. You can choose your level of stretch, but try not to bounce in and out of it, okay? Just find that stretch and keep it. If it gets too much, just release it altogether. Okay, which is what we're going to do now. So release it, return your right foot to the floor, take your left foot, pop it on top of your right knee, reach through the gap, and you are now pulling your right leg towards you so that you feel a stretch on your left hip or the outside of your left glute. You can do these stretches for longer after the video. We're just giving you a quick stretch here so you know to stretch the muscles that you probably use the most in that class. Okay, and return that leg to the floor. And that is us, folks. So back up to your knees. Well done. Give the arms a shake. We did a lot of work on our wrists there, so your wrists might be a bit sore. You can give them a few circles like this. So make no mistake about it, that was definitely a core focused class. A lot of people are just so used to core being abs related, but like I said, you want this 360 degrees of protective muscle around you. And a lot of people, we tend to focus on what we see in the mirror, and you can't see your lower back, can't see your glutes, so they often get neglected. So there was a nice 6 or 7 exercise workout that just really focused on that area. So by all means, repeat it, add some time to it, but then you've got the structure, okay? So give us a shout out on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, wherever you follow that workout, and I will see you again next week. Well done, everybody.